You're listening to Across the Pondcast. Cybersecurity rants and war stories from both sides of the Atlantic.
Hello and welcome to Across the Pondcast, a show where we talk and occasionally rant about cybersecurity topics with perspectives from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Tib3rius. I'm joined, as always, by my covert companion and co-host, Mr. Andy Swift. Andy, how are you doing?
That's what I say at the end. Hello, Tibsy. I'm fine. How are you doing?
We're going to do the episode backwards today.
Yes. So lockpicking is now resolved, and see you later.
I'm doing well, thank you. This episode's like all over the place now. It's hello, goodbye, I'm good. Excellent. Well, I mean, yeah, the title of today's episode is Lockpicking Adventures. Lockpicking is a hugely popular hobby and occasionally useful skill in the cybersecurity community, as evidenced by the sheer number of lockpick villages that appear at conventions. We've both had some adventures with lockpicking, so we're going to talk about that, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. You're right, it has got very popular at conventions. Part of me suspects it's just because it is cool as fuck.
Yes.
As a thing. It really is cool. Like we even did a stand at like an exhibition we went to today. Like, you know, companies just do like exhibitions every now and then for like marketing purposes. So I got roped in for doing that for a few days. I was like, if I'm at least going to be there, I'm at least going to do something cool. So we had a little lockpicking demo on the table, and it was such a pull for people to come in and like just get them sat down on a sofa picking locks, and you could just chat to them about whatever the hell you liked after that. Get some nice juicy information out of people. And it's just a nice kind of, I think it just draws people in. And you're right, it's so big now at various cons and things. There's one at every single con. Like, even at B-Sides in London, there's a lockpicking like village. So yeah, it's everywhere.
It's at the point where, so not all conventions have like the whole village concept. Not all of them have villages at all. But if there's going to be at least one village at a convention, it almost is guaranteed to be a lockpick village. Like, I've been to conventions where like they're just like, oh yeah, we have a lockpick village. That's the only village. It's almost like a staple for a convention right now in cybersecurity is you have to kind of have an area for lockpicking.
Yes. Interesting words as well used by your good self there too. Cybersecurity. So there's always this debate about... Judging by your there, I feel like you're probably going to lean into this at some point as well. But so we brand it a lot of cybersecurity, and everyone in cybersecurity is one of those things everyone wants to learn. And it's certainly like, I know when we have juniors in the office and we do like research days or stuff like that, we do them on like a monthly basis where we are. And there's always one request every now and then for us to sit down and do some lockpicking and things like that. I mean, you sort of say to them, have you ever actually been asked to do any as part of a cybersecurity engagement? And the answer is often no. And then you speak to, I've spoken to people that are quite seasoned in lockpicking to do that stuff before, or at least are qualified to do it. And they often say when they're doing things like red teaming engagements, do they often get their lockpicks out? No, because there's often a much easier and like more fruitful way around something than to sit there picking a lock. So I have some questions on things like, is it a valid part of a pen test, or is it just something cool we all like to do because it is a pretty cool thing to do?
I think it's pretty cool. I think that's probably it. I know there was an interesting discussion that I was a part of on X, which kind of opened my mind about it, and it was basically like, oh, you know, what kind of lock should I get for like a front door? And this was asked in the cybersecurity community. And a lot of people would be like, well, you know, get this one. This has good pick resistance. And I'm pretty sure I even was like, this one I've heard is, you know, well reviewed. It's, you know, security pins, tamper resistant, pick resistant. And somebody, I forget who it was. I think it was Justin Elise from Trusted Sec.
Oh,
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He was like, I'm going to paraphrase to not butcher his words, but it was something like the cybersecurity. We do a lot of risk management and that kind of risk awareness in our day-to-day jobs. But when it comes to actual practical advice for physical security, it's like kind of ridiculous. And his point was, if I recall, that 2% of burglaries use lockpicks.
Well,
It's like most burglaries they just smash the door in. And he was like, oh yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, why the hell do we care about pick resistance? Like, we shouldn't. It's kind of dumb.
When we lived down south, we were burgled. And did they go through any of the locked doors? No. They threw a brick through the back window in the bedroom, and they literally climbed through the window and actually weirdly stole nothing. It was a very bizarre break-in. They seemed to go through everything, decided we had nothing of value, and then left.
They're still there, Swift.
They're probably still there, which is why we moved.
It was Inception.
Yeah. Anyway, to get away from the Inception, we just moved up north, away from the south. Yeah, that house was done now. That was tainted.
Yeah. You need brick-resistant windows is what you need.
You do, but to be fair, it'd be another cool thing for a lockpicking village, wouldn't it? Just to have a window and a brick just to practice smashing windows effectively.
Practice breaking and entering.
Yeah. Actually, sorry guys, you don't need all these expensive lockpick kits. What you really just need is this good weighty brick here. It's London brick. That'll do you. Yeah. So why is it part of cybersecurity and pen testing then? Why is it seen as a... I can't put my finger on it other than it's cool.
I think it's like tangentially related because it's like, cybersecurity, if you break it all the way down, is about protecting information. That's literally all it is. Like the whole CIA triad as, not that great as it is. It's sufficient, right? It basically just describes attacks to information, if you think about it. And that's effectively all we're doing in cybersecurity. Is like, how do you protect information from being read? How do you protect it from being written? How do you protect it, just access in general, right? And so when you have when you talk about security in the sense of protecting information or protecting assets, there's a natural real world sort of situation, which is lockpicking, right? We've used locks to protect assets for thousands of years. Maybe not thousands, hundreds. I don't know. I actually don't know when the first lock was created. It probably was over 1,000 years ago in ancient Egypt or something, I imagine. But yeah, I think that's what. What?
You just totally made that up.
No, I
think it was the ancient Egyptians that first came up with the Yale lock.
I just know there were locks in ancient Egypt. That's why I'm just going with that. I'm not claiming they made the first. I'm just saying I know that the ancient Egyptians had locks. So I was correct in my initial statement of thousands of years.
I'll grant you that.
All right. Anyway, that's why. So we have it at Lockpick Village just because of the ancient Egyptian, though.
The ancient Egyptians and their brick-based bypass methodology.
That's why every single cybersecurity convention opens with the prayer to Horus. You haven't realized that?
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, I think you do. Every single keynote. You got to look out for it next time.
So next time I'm speaking at an event, you've got to. That's what I should be doing, right? I should just be opening.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's where I've been going wrong. Ah, man. I wonder why no one showed up.
You'll annoy the most devout attendees if you don't.
Perfect. Oh, great.
No, we have to start like a freaking I don't know what the phrase or the correct phrase is, like a whole rumor, like the cybersecurity community is just this massive ancient Egyptian cult.
Oh, they have secret handshakes and things, and the stonecutters from The Simpsons.
We need to develop a proper law for this, I feel.
Yeah, I think we can go off on a tangent here. This is perfect. Yeah.
No, we're getting back on track. We're going to get to the sponsor section, and we're probably going to re-edit this so the sponsor section appears before we just started talking.
Not 15 minutes in after talking about Egyptian law.
Before we start, this show is made possible thanks to our sponsors. If you want to sponsor an episode, please send an email to sponsors@acrossthepodcast.net for more details.
Sponsored by Yale for this one, or the ancient Egyptians.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like I think there is that link, right, between digital and physical security. Ultimately, security's in the name, so that's why we talk about it. And that's why and even if there's such a small subset of people in cybersecurity who actually use lockpicking properly, there are some. I know there absolutely are. Is it part of every red team? No, but I imagine every red team still brings lockpicks. Like I imagine like a red teamer like showing up to a red team engagement where there's a physical aspect and not bringing lockpicks because they were like, we're going to get in some other way. And it's probably true that they can get in some other way. But if you can't, and then like, oh, did anyone bring me lockpicks? Nah. Oops.
So we carry them when we're doing red teaming. Has our red team ever had to use them in any particular engagements? I can think of a couple of scenarios, but they've been very isolated, very focused, almost scenario tests against a specific thing. I'll give you an example of that in a sec. But generally, 9 times out of 10, we haven't had to use them because there's just been another, frankly, much easier and much more covert way to get into something. Like with the best will in the world, I don't know if lockpicking I would describe particularly as like a covert exercise where you're sort of crouched down for hours on end with your picks in front of a lock. It's just like
that's a like perfectly normal thing to see someone doing. It's just be on their knees next to a doorknob, just with 2 things jiggling one up and down. You don't see that every day walking down the street?
No. Yeah, not without people asking questions. You just imagine like the regular people in the office just walking past going, right? We're just opening the door. I have a key. So I just need to walk through here. Sorry, just a sec. Don't mind me. What I'm doing here is innocent. Yeah, so I think there is always a more covert way, frankly. I do think there is room for it in cybersecurity in a weird way. Having just to contradict myself and what I said earlier on, I like doing that. But there have been cases where we have been asked very specifically to do specific scenario tests against something. And do I think to this day that those scenarios were borderline pointless? Yes, I still do. One of them, frankly, was they had a requirement from a client of their data center to test and rate the lock. So how easy was it to pick the locks, essentially, on the cabinets in the data center? And like anyone that knows data center cabinets will know that the locks on those are notoriously terrible.
Were they just wafer locks?
They're pretty, they're pretty useless, to be honest. But the best part of it was when we were testing it. You look at this, it was an end rack, so you had the side of the cabinet just to the left of it as you were picking the lock. But the side of it was just a bolt-on sheet of metal. But it was held in place by 2 bolts, one at the top and one at the bottom. But the 2 bolts, they're basically like flathead bolts. So if you had anything that was like even a lollipop stick, you could just turn it and pull the whole of the side of the cabinet off.
I love that.
Like, well, what does it even matter at that point the strength of this lock down here? It'd be the world's best lock for all I care. But, if your side just pops off.
It's like those, the cheap, like, metal lock boxes that people, like, they sell. And they usually just have a stupid wafer lock as well. But it's like, what's the point? Like, if someone wants to get into this, like, it's just made of like aluminum. You could literally pry the damn thing open if you really wanted to and break. Like, that's the thing. A lot of people just assume that thieves don't want to break things. I think it's like, thieves don't care about your lovely box. Like, they're just going to smash it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Aluminium, you mean?
Aluminum.
No. Here we go again. Yeah, no, I don't know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've seen locks been broken into with screwdrivers before, but not because a screwdriver's gone into the actual lock mechanism, but because they've gone round it and they've literally bent the entire lock mechanism out of place. So it's completely mangled, doesn't do the job anymore. So yeah, at that point, there's of course, thieves don't care about what they're breaking into. Not at all. They'll find the weakest link, and if that weakest link is a brick through the rendo or a screwdriver around the back of a lock, absolutely they're going to use that. Of course they will. And not to mention, everyone's got freaking Ring doorbells now, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine picking a lock and you're just like on camera, just there, just bend down, just hold on a second.
To be honest, though, I've always thought about this. You've got to position like a Ring doorbell pretty carefully, because I feel like in a lot of instances, they are wide-angle cameras, but if you were careful enough, you could approach from the side. If you just have it on, if your house literally has a flat front face, right, so just a big wall, and the door is in the middle, right? If the door's on the corner, that's obviously even worse, actually. But if it's like the door's in the middle, you could potentially just sort of like hug the wall and go across and then just put a cover for the lens. Like, it's not that hard, if it's on the corner, it's even worse, because if you can just reach around the corner and just shove a sticker on the lens of a Ring doorbell. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But they're designed to be recharged, aren't they? So you can literally pull them off.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of them are wired now. I feel like wired ones are probably better.
Yeah, okay. Stickers. Let's go with stickers. It's still right, though. I do remember someone's house I know with a Ring doorbell. I won't say who it is, but it is on the corner. And I've always pointed it out to them and gone, your doorbell's on the wrong corner. Because it is right next to a corner. And they got like this big alleyway down the side of their house. Yeah. It's weird. And behind the alleyway is just open fields and things. So you can just into the field next door and walk up the alleyway and then just sticker it, pop it off, think about that.
I think the main attraction of those doorbells, and I have one, so I know, but I think it's just literally being able to see who is at the door without having to go down to the door. Like, it's the ultimate lazy man thing. It's like, someone's at the door, let me have a look on my phone. Or just talking to people when you're not at home is also sometimes interesting and good. If I'm out and somebody like rings the doorbell, I can talk to them if I need to, or I can just ignore them, which is probably what I'm going to be doing anyway. But it's interesting. It's good. So,
Or raise the alarm if you need to. That's the other thing, isn't it? They're helpful for that. They're not very nice. I find them a nice peace of mind. I used to have one. I don't anymore.
Well, yeah, you live in the middle of nowhere. So
yes, I do.
If there was a thief in your area, the entire village would know. They'd just be the village. That's Mike, cheeky village thief.
Oh, he's off again. Oh, good old Mike.
He'd always get caught. He'd get a slap on the wrist.
We'll be down the pub afterwards. Oh, Mike, have you been caught thieving again? Oh, Mike.
It's literally how it would be.
It's true. We'd take him for a stoning afterwards.
Okay, calm down. Let's not get deplatformed. Across the Podcast does not endorse stonings.
Perfect. Yes.
Let's get this back on track. Because we're way too far into this now, but I did want to at least mention briefly, because we're talking about lockpicking and in locksport, right, which is the term for doing lockpicking as a hobby. There are two main rules of lockpicking, Swift. Are you aware, without looking at the show notes, what those are?
You actually caught me off guard because I don't have the show notes open. And
Good.
No, I do not know what the rules of competitive lockpicking are.
No, competitive, just lockpicking in general, like locksport
just
in general.
Lockpicking.
Yeah. Well, rule number one is you never pick a lock that you don't own or don't have permission to pick. So that's a pretty obvious one. Basically, no breaking and entering. It's like you don't have to own the lock. So you can either own it or have permission to pick it. So if the owner of a lock gives you permission, then it's fine. That's fine. But the second rule, I feel like the second rule is a bit more flexible in its interpretation. It's don't pick a lock that you rely on. And the reason that rule's in place is that even though lockpicking in general is mostly a non-destructive thing, because like a lock is just designed to have a key put in it and turned. When you're lockpicking, you're not doing that. So you're technically using a lock in a way it was not supposed to be used, and you can technically break locks via lockpicking. I have actually broken a few padlocks. Like, they're my practice padlocks, which I use for, honing my skills. But I have, like, completely broken them to the point where it's interesting, I can still pick them open, but the key no longer works. And I don't quite understand why. I imagine maybe I've just picked them so much that the key pins have just been worn away.
Just worn down, yeah.
And so now the key doesn't match.
That's probably the most likely scenario. I was going to say, I don't think I've ever broken a lock, but I have certainly got them to the stage where they are worn enough that they are pretty much useless now. They don't really open at all anymore, even via picking. It's got that bad. I think it's just overuse. But hey, these things have, like I said at the beginning, these things have gone to shows with us. They've been picked like thousands of times.
Yeah,
they're going to wear out. And I like that reliability rule, or something you rely on in a weird way, because you got to flip a zero, right? There's no way you don't have one.
Yeah.
But there's, as with every other person in cybersecurity, I obviously bought one And like the other thing I immediately went out and did was like, hey, I have a car. And
did you brick your car?
No, but this is the thing. It was successful on both cars, so I took a risk and did it on both anyway, just for lols. But then I started reading about all these people that had actually bricked their cars or screwed their keys up, so their regular keys would no longer work. And I have heard horror stories of that happening, but I can't say I've heard firsthand. Or I don't know how many times it's happened, whether it's just a couple of people it's happened to on the internet and spread like wildfire. But yeah, it goes back to the whole reliability thing. There's no way I would have done it if that was my only car. I would not have tried that in a million years, just in case. But yeah, my wife would go to work the next day. Oh, can't go to work today, hon.
Yeah, I think it was something to do with the rolling code, right? So like technically the key fob and the receiver in the car are always supposed to be in sync. Or at least in sync to a degree. I think that there's like a variation because sometimes you'll press the unlock button and the car won't receive the signal. So then it's technically desynced. But as far as I'm aware, and I might be completely wrong about this, if you like take your key fob away from your car and press the button like 20 times, there's a chance that the key fob gets so desynced from the car that it no longer the car no longer recognizes it. And you have to take it in to get it, I don't know, resynced. But that was the issue with the flippers, is they were technically telling the receiver in the car, oh, the key fob's been pressed. And so it's like tracking, and then it just gets to the point where it's desynced anyway. Is how I understand it. That might be completely wrong, and someone will correct us in the comments.
I'm sure they will. And if it is, then it's going to be the second thing we're fact-checking next to your claim the Egyptians made Yale locks.
I did not claim that.
I might have twisted that slightly.
I claim they made master locks.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the way I understood it. That sounds like the most plausible way. And then I guess just different manufacturers, different vendors have different levels of coding to be able to contain those errors and do sort of valid checks. And I guess some just don't. I'm going to guess, but yeah, someone much more knowing than us who is into car hacking will probably come and correct us. But no, they're fun. Where are you going with this? Is a reliability one your second? Point 2, reliability.
Yeah, but because, I said it was a flexible rule. I think it is a flexible rule. I think as long as you make sure the lock is undamaged after you've used it, after you've picked it, it's probably fine. And I say that because I have in the past unlocked my front door. I have picked my front door. So, do I use the lock on my front door? Yeah. Technically a lock I rely on. So, but I have picked it. Not like, I haven't been like, I'm going to go try and pick my front door. It hasn't been like that. It's more that I was effectively locked out at one point and had my lockpicks on me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get back in. And
I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions about this scenario.
Why? You've never been locked out?
No, I'm just wondering why you were effectively locked out and you also had your lockpicks on.
Effectively because I was locked out. Like I'm pretty sure I had left. So I have a habit where I
lose your keys.
When I leave the house, I put I lock the door from the inside, then close the door.
Gotcha. Right.
And usually I have car keys on me, and this time I didn't. So
see.
Yes. And then I realized when I couldn't unlock the car. And so I'm like, oh, crap. And the reason I have my lockpicks on me, so I have a covert companion from Covert Instruments that I usually carry in my pocket. Like, just because sometimes it's useful. And that it has, on occasion, been useful to have some lockpicks on me. And this was one of them, where I had to unlock my door to get back in to get my keys.
I've often thought, I wish I had my lockpicking kit with me. So those, my son goes to this woodland school, and they have this lockup with all some stuff in it, spades and things like that they use in the woods. Anyway, not to talk about woodland school too much.
What kind of work camp does your kid go to? Where they just make them shovel in the woods?
Yeah,
what are you talking about, Swift?
I've never thought of it like that. But it is kind of like a work.
This is a work camp.
He chops wood.
Do you live in Victorian England?
He does chop firewood. He's very good at that. There's a little bit of fishing there. So yeah, it's a bit like a work camp.
So this is a labour camp, but it's a fun labour camp for kids.
Because they're learning.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah, it's great. We love it there. But they got themselves locked out of like the little shed there. It's only got like a padlock on it. And I was like, if only I had my lockpicking kit, I could just bust open that little lock. And it's like, I didn't have it with me because I just don't make a habit of carrying it around. And then the other example of an easy way of just finding the easiest way in was, and we have got it written in the show notes, haven't we, somewhere? I can't remember what we called it. Small child pick is what I call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a lockpick that you can buy commercially. No. This is very much a homemade lockpick. The process for making it quite complicated, quite time consuming, especially getting it to the state where you can use it as a pick.
It's got a lead time to it for sure.
Yeah.
It's got
at least 2 to 4 years.
yeah.
Possibly longer, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah. It says, if you haven't guessed right now, yes, this is another scenario involving my son who's up. If he ever watches this one day, sorry, I'm setting you up for a terrible life in crime, essentially. But like my wife was going over to her parents' house to look after the dogs. So she's just going over to feed the dogs, literally for the day, because they were away, they were out for the day. Oh, can you just pop over? And they were gone for a few days because they'd taken a long weekend away. And my wife went to put the key that she'd been given in the door, and the key just turned and turned, but the lock didn't move. But the key just melted itself into this horrible shape and just snapped off. It just literally pinged off like it was made of cheese. So yeah, this lock was like just next to no good. She couldn't use a spare one because obviously she couldn't get it in. She had no tools to be able to pull the remains of it out or take the lock apart. So it's like, what do you do? I was like, so she phoned me up and she's like, can you come down? And do you think you could either pick the other lock or do you have a tool to be able to get inside the lock and get this out? And I was like, I got really excited. I was like, my time has come. My time has come. I can shine here. Help is on the way, dear. And I got my pick kit under my arm and I went off all happy and jolly. I got really excited, got in the car. I got halfway to my parents' house. It was about 20 minutes away, so I was about probably 10, 15 minutes away, and I got this phone call and she said, don't worry, I've broken in. I was like, okay, wait, what? Broken in. I don't need your lockpicking. It's fine. So like, what? How did you do that? That's crazy. And so what she did, because they have dogs, she had managed to find this dog toy on the floor outside in the back garden. And this dog toy it's one of those ones with a ball on the end, bit of rope and a loop at the top. And what she had done is they had left the window slightly open. So she pulled the window open. It's only one of those tiny windows, like 60 centimeters type of length. She managed to get it open far enough to get the dog toy in and get a hook around the handle for one of the other windows to pull the door latch up enough so that the other slightly bigger window could open, not big enough to fit an adult through. And this is where my, at the time, 3.5-year-old son came into play. We just posted him through the window because he would fit and told him to go and open the back door in the hope that he would. So, hey, maybe slightly irresponsible.
And you've put it out there on the internet.
Yes. The next option was to put a brick through the window if it all went south. But
or just wait for you to show up.
Yeah, with the actual pick kit. But yeah, he went in. He actually managed to unlock the back door. He'd been there millions of times and done that millions of times, so we knew he could do it. And yeah, quite a confident young lad, just went to the back door, just opened the door, and yeah, jobs are good.
Nice.
Perfect.
So 3.5 years old. So total, we're talking about like 4 years, 3 months minimum for a
Yeah, if you want to brew,
that's a long time to make a small child pick. To be honest,
it is. Yeah. If you want to home brew your own small child pick, it's an investment. You've got nursery fees, school fees. It's a lot. But hey, it will save you putting a brick through a window.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There are definitely practical applications, but it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the start with like Justin and Lisa's point about picks and everything. Like you guys didn't have to pick. You basically broke in because the window was left open. Like and a thief would have done the exact same thing apart from the child. They would have probably honestly just broken the window because they don't care. That's the thing. You guys cared about the property.
Yeah.
So if you didn't care at all, you would have just opened that window and probably honestly just smashed it to get in. But yeah, fun.
Yeah, the child pick is very nice and easy on the building. I will say that.
Yeah.
And until they get a crayon on the wall.
Oh god, that's another story you told me once. Well, that's a story every parent must have, though. That time when
Drawing
the kids got out of crayons and drew on the walls. Yeah, very good. So I'm going to save my most epic lockpicking in public story for last, I think. But the one I mentioned, which is not really similar, but it's like the same sort of like small time lockpick, is when a friend of mine, they have a shed, but it's like one of those, I know you've seen those like professionally built sheds, right? There's like a professionally built shed, and they just had a bunch of expensive equipment in it, and they got locked out once. They didn't have the key. I think they maybe just lost the key. And as they knew I lockpicked, so they were like, "Hey, can you pick the lock?" I was like, "Well, I'll give it a try," because never say, "Oh yeah, absolutely can do that." I'll give it a try. I'll have a look. And so I went over, and it was literally a wafer lock, which it's like the same kind of lock you would see on file cabinets. You can tell it's a wafer lock because it's basically just a big thick rectangle entrance to the keyway. And yeah, the problem with wafer locks, they're not secure at all. And like literally, there's a tool called a jiggler, which is what I have, and it's literally just like this weird thin piece of metal. It's shaped like with usually a bunch of weird ridges, and there are variations of it. But you basically just usually stick it in, give it a slight twist, and then just wiggle it. You jiggle it around in the lock while twisting, and on wafer locks.
Ironically, that's also how you make a small child lock.
Oh god, I'm leaving that in.
Carry on.
Anyway, yeah. So you jiggle it around while turning, and usually with wafer locks, it'll literally just open in seconds. And they were shocked at how quickly and how easily. And I showed them what I used. It's like, oh, but that's it. Like people don't realize. Like obviously, sheds aren't really designed for security anyway. But if you have a lock on a door, people assume, oh, it's easy, lockable. It's probably got some degree of security on it. But no, this wafer locks have literally hardly any security at all. But yeah, I don't know if they actually upgraded after that. Hopefully, but at the same time, it's like this. It's like a shed. So it's one of those things where it's shocking to see, but at the same time, it's like if I told them, oh, you should get like a padlock with like, make sure it's got like a thick lock shaft, right? So can't bolt cut it. Make sure it's got security pins. It's like I could say that, but then this shed also had windows, and it's a shed. So if a thief really wants to get in because there's a bunch of expensive equipment, are they not just going to pry off some of the wood of this shed and then just kick in the panels? Like probably.
Well, also, on a lot of sheds I've seen, the two sides of the thing you loop the padlock through, the hooks for it, you could just screw those off anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if
the door's made of wood.
Yeah, especially if the hinges are on. If the hinges are on the outside, it's like game over because it's like just take the
hinges off.
Hinges.
Yeah, it's like the the cabinet.
I've got a tool for that.
yeah.
Yeah,
but it's true. But it's the same sort of concept that you see all the locks on people's like luggage and things at airports, and when you fly abroad and stuff. We'll say, stick a padlock on your thing. And we've done a fair bit of lock picking, but those are not really difficult to get into at all.
Well, no, because
most of them,
especially in America, if you are going to do that and you don't want your luggage to be checked, or you don't want your lock to be destroyed by the TSA because they have to check luggage sometimes. Like those have a TSA bypass key, which you can buy online. Yeah. Because turns out
a bypass key at that point.
Turns out if you want to make a lock and you want to make it, so the TSA can open it, you have to go get the TSA specs for how they open locks. And turns out if you can get the specs for those, then you can build the tool that opens TSA locks, right? Makes sense. So yeah, but that's the thing. I think with luggage, most people are aware that the lock they put on their luggage is not for security. It's to just stop it from opening. Like when it's being handled it's being thrown around, when it's on the carousel, right? I would hope a lot of people realize the lock that they're using isn't to stop people from getting in. Because the other thing is, most suitcases are just made of fabric. Yeah. Like I've got a one that's a plastic shell, but it's still a plastic shell. If I had a really good knife, I could probably just stab it and it would break. It would shatter. Like
a knife, you say? Where could I get such tools from? Surely this is a
well. Yeah, come to a cybersecurity convention. We sell them at the Lockpick villages.
Yeah, you got to know some ancient Egyptian first of all. Only then will you be allowed to buy things from the top shelf, which includes knives and bricks. That's not the entry level picks. No, we're talking destruction. But yeah, I think it's the same with stuff like sheds and things like that. I don't know if anyone actually believes that putting a padlock on a shed is going to protect the insides of your shed. To be honest, it might make it less appealing than the person's shed next door who doesn't have a padlock. And that's it. Right. I remember that from when we did get broken into when we lived down south. And one of the things the policeman said to us was, he said, your house just driving down the street is the only one there that doesn't have a burglar alarm on the outside, even a fake one. And it's like they've probably gone down the road and just gone, that one has no alarm. All the others do. Therefore, that is our target for today. And it's those series of events that lead up to it that's more of a problem. So if you look less appealing to the person next door, then great. So yeah, have a better padlock than the person next door. Don't go overboard. But as long as it's better than theirs, you're probably safe.
Yeah. And like you can literally buy those fake. So there's a company, I think it's ADT in America. I'm not sure if it's the same in the UK. They before Ring, they were they probably still are the biggest manufacturer of security alarms, right, for residential and commercial buildings. And, their services are relatively expensive, I would think, because especially if they have 24/7 monitoring. But you can also just go on Amazon and just buy a fake ADT sticker and just stick it on your house. And then, is it the same? No. Is it effectively the same? Arguably, probably. And you're saving a lot more money. So, yeah, it's funny. I honestly do wonder if you're just wandering down a regular street, how many of the alarm systems are just fake?
Yeah, or just defunct and don't work anymore. There's a building next door to us who are having a load of building work done on it. And the builders one day, they tripped the alarm in the property. So the next thing, I was just looking out to see, you hear an alarm next door, you're like, oh, I wonder what that is. So I stuck my head out. I was looking across and I saw this builder hanging out of a top story window of this building with a hammer, just smashing the alarm until it stopped. He eventually got to the stage where he ripped it off the wall and it did stop. And then what was brilliant was about 10 seconds later, after they were feeling really happy with themselves, the alarm started again from another part of the building. It was comical. You couldn't make it up. But whether they'll put it back on again or not, I don't know. Because at this stage, they're the only one on the street without an alarm on the side. So
yeah,
it does make a bit of a difference. We also got this. Have you heard of? I don't know if when you were living in the UK, did you ever hear of something called Nottingham Knockers? Not a strip.
No. God, this episode is wild. No, I have never heard of Nottingham Knockers.
So this is I had never heard of this living down south for most of my life either. But what they do is not snockers, I think. I can't remember, one of the two. Anyway, they walk around the local area. They usually target things like small villages and things on the outskirts of cities. So we're right for that where we are. Yes, us. Yeah. And then what they'll do is they'll knock on the door and they will have a bag full of rubbish, basically. That they'll try and sell you, and it'll be just stuff they've got from the local co-op or something. It'll be a pack of dusters or some pegs or something like that, just noddy household items. And they'll give you this long story about I was in prison, yada yada yada. This is what I'm doing now to make good of myself. They give you a whole sob story, and they don't give a monkeys about what they sell. They don't give a hoot about what's in the bag or what you're buying or the fact they've just made £5 off you for a pack of dusters or whatever. It matters not to them. But what they're doing the whole time is they're scoping out the building and getting information about what you're doing, where the doors are, what type of locks you have on the doors, where the windows are, can you get through the windows? And they build up this big profile and they'll go and report that back. And that's when the burglaries happen shortly after that. quite well informed, really, quite organised.
I have a funny feeling that you're part of this gang now. You seem to have deep knowledge about how they operate, Swift.
I do. In fact, would you like to buy some dusters, Tibsy? Small price of £10.
So Swift isn't a family name. Swift is just your nickname in the crime world. How quick you get in and out of a house.
Yeah. Swifty Brown Eyes is what they call me. But this is all they do. They scope out the buildings. But if you're the only one on the street without certain protections and certain things in place, they'll report back, and they will end up targeting you. But do any of them own a lockpicking kit? I suspect not. But it's that level of scoping, isn't it, to find out the path of least resistance and identify that path of least resistance. That's the sort of common thing across, I feel, all of cybersecurity and physical security is always look for the weakness. People always ask, why is phishing so still number one on the topic? Because it's that thing. It's time and time again. You always pick the path of least resistance. Doesn't matter what, and that's still why phishing is number one. Is because people still blooming fall for it.
Yep.
This day. And it's so effective. It's an effective use of time, resources, everything.
Yes.
Perfect.
Well, I got one more story about lockpicking. It's my best. It's the time I really shone. But I just realized I forgot to mention it in part of the show notes. So something I noticed, I don't know if you watch Peacemaker over there in the UK. It's a DC show. I think it's on HBO. Anyway, very good show, I will say. I'm more of a Marvel fan.
Me too.
But for DC, it's honestly probably their best thing. Anyway, season 2, I was watching it, and there's a point where there's this the government team or whatever have to break into a house, and they use a leashy tool, which if you do anything to do with lockpicking in the cybersecurity community, you've probably either heard of or seen a leashy tool. I have a couple of leashy tools. They're this Chinese-made or Chinese-designed tool that basically it's almost like it's not really auto picking, but it makes picking easier. So if you've ever had the problem where you don't know, where to put your pick in the keyway in order to pick pin number 1, for example, or pin number 2. If you have a problem finding pins, this leashy tool is really useful because it basically just tells you where they are. And it's so simple to use. It's kind of crazy. Really good design. That's why they're so popular. But you effectively move the pick along this sort of shaft and you line up this, I guess you call it a pointer. Line up the pointer where it says number 1, and then your pick is at number 1. And so you still have to technically pick the lock. It's not an auto pick, but it definitely makes it much, much easier to pick a lock. Anyway, I felt that was kind of interesting that they'd actually used clearly the person who wrote that scene, and I don't know if it was James Gunn or one of his writers, but they clearly did some research. Or hey, maybe that's the thing. Locksport is getting popular with not just cybersecurity people; it's getting popular in general. I feel so. Maybe they already knew that a leashy tool was how you would reliably get in. But I just thought that was interesting. I was like the not the Spider-Man meme, but kind of the Spider-Man meme. It was I saw that and I was like, oh, I know what that is.
I nearly bought one of those at DEF CON. Yeah, I didn't. I ended up not buying anything from DEF CON, really. Nothing of interest. I bought lunch, and some other bits and bobs. But there's so many things.
Drinks,
I bought drinks. Yeah, there's so many other things I wanted to buy there. I was just really worried about getting home unquestioned with carrying all these things.
That's true.
I'm sure it probably would have been fine, but
should have brought merch.
Yeah, I'm going to buy merch next year. I nearly got my friend to buy a huge flag.
The flags are cool.
Yeah, turns out he just had nowhere to put a huge flag back at home. But hey, we'll work on it for next time. But no, I nearly bought one of them. I wish I did because they look so cool. And I've heard the stories about making it easier. And I quite like that kind of stuff in a sort of engineering way. Because I've heard that sort of thought trail of going, it's cheating. It's not real lockpicking art. So, but someone's engineered a way to do it reliably and do it reliably easier. Why would you? That's just the definition of good engineering. Why would you not do that?
We're not allowed to write tools to help us pen test. That's cheating.
Yeah, you must do it by manipulating individual
Python.
packets. No. Oh, no. Assembly only.
Not even assembly, just nothing. No operating system. No, not how to use it. It's a tool. It's cheating. No, it's a silly argument. Like, just let people have fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Let people. Your story. Go.
Yeah.
Before we get sidetracked again.
We'll be good. Right. So I help run an event in New York City called the Net Gala. So obviously it's a pun on the Met Gala, but for cybersecurity, it was the founder was Ali Diamond. We might have her on the show at one point. I'll have to ask her. But anyway, she's a software engineer in New York City, but she also is the host of Hack5's Threatwire, which is how she is tangentially in cybersecurity, increasingly more in cyber. She goes to DEF CON. So she is definitely within the cybersecurity community. A lot of people know who she is. She has a storage unit where we store a lot of the stuff for the Net Gala. The day before the Net Gala, the organization team were going to meet at the storage unit and load everything into a U-Haul. So I get there and I'm waiting around, and Ali drives up in the U-Haul. And the first thing she says to me was, "Tibbs, do you have your lockpicks?" Literally, she probably said hi, but pretty much the first things out of her mouth were, "Tibbs, do you have your lockpicks?" And I thankfully did have my covert companion in my pocket.
Is it because you just locked yourself out of the house earlier that day?
It's not. It's actually, funnily enough, it's because when I was, like, I usually have them in my pocket, but I'll occasionally take them out, and if I'm going somewhere I don't think I'll need them at all, whatever. And when I was, like, getting ready for the Net Gala and packing everything, I did think to myself, should I take these? And I was thinking, and this is going to sound made up, but I literally did think, maybe I'll need to get into the storage unit. I swear that thought did go through my head. And so I did put them in my pocket. And then literally the next day, it was like, "Do you have your lockpicks?" And I'm like, "Yes, why?" And Ali was like, "I forgot the keys to the storage unit." And so I was like, "Well, I will try and break in." And obviously, in the storage unit, you bring your own padlock. So I wasn't breaking the storage unit's padlock. I was breaking Ali's padlock. So just want to get that out there. This technically did not violate the first rule of lockpicking. It kind of violated the second. But as I've said, the second is a bit more flexible. It was a lock in use. Pretty sure we didn't break it. But anyway, so we go up to the storage unit, and the first thing I try is a raking attack. I figured maybe this will open if I just rake it open. But that didn't work. So I go to single pin picking it, and I think it took me like maybe 60 seconds. But yeah, so I got in, and I'm not gonna say I saved the Net Gala that year, but I'm definitely gonna think it. In my little fantasy world, I was the savior of the Net Gala because we didn't have to go and get the keys. So yeah.
It sounds like you were. Now you spread that to me, I'm gonna spread that wherever. I'm just gonna say, I know the savior.
Yes.
Oh, well done you. Well done you. I like the raking technique, but it's obviously one of the first ones a lot of people learn, even though I think you should probably learn single pin picking first before you move on to that, just because it feels like the correct order of things to understand what you're doing before we had to have that consideration for when we did this exhibition I mentioned right at the beginning, because we had a little competition for people as well, where they could just, fastest person to pick the lock throughout the day wins, I don't know, an ice cream or whatever it is we're flogging. Probably an ice cream. But some people we had to stop raking after the first few and ban people from using that because they were just coming up and going donk donk, and it's like done. Mm-hmm. It's like I can't even move my fingers quick enough to do the stopwatch to make a distinction between these times. So we have to go for single pin picking and force them to do it the proper way. But yeah, raking works a lot of the time, doesn't it? It's a little technique. But learn the single pin. I find it's more, I just like the little sound it makes when you pop a pin into place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other problem with raking is it works against simple locks, but it won't work against anything with a security pin. So and it's fine. If you want to just pick locks at a lockpicking village and rake, and that's all you want to do, I'm not going to judge you for it. But if you actually want to do it as a skill, if you want to become skilled, at some point you're going to have to use single pin picking, because you'll move on to the more advanced locks and your raking technique will just not work. Like, you'll hear the pins get set and then you'll wonder why it's not working. and it's because you've accidentally set a security pin improperly, and then you can't get out. Like, so yeah, raking is fun. It definitely is the thing you should first thing you should try on any lock. Really, is just a simple raking attack to see if it works. But if it doesn't, and it won't work on most secure locks, then yeah, you have to basically single pin pick and get a leashy tool. If you want to learn single pin picking, a leashy tool is basically the hand holding version of single pin picking. Like, it'll get you used to the feel, and it will help you align your picks. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, there's no harm in a little bit of help.
No.
Point you in the right direction. It's like saying to a builder building a brick wall, like, no, you can't use spirit levels because I want you to do it by eye and use old school techniques. Of course, he's going to use something that's going to actually make it level. Yeah, yes. I'm pretty sure my house hasn't seen a spirit level in its entire history. I will say that. You can see this beam. You can see this beam. Those of you watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this beam. It's not a...
That beam's like 250 years old, though.
It is. So. Nothing, like, there are no walls in here that are straight. It's quite funny because we get people, way off topic now, but it's quite funny because we get people in to like do work on the building, like plasterers and things. And like modern day, they just sort of freak out a little bit because they're like, this wall's not straight to begin with. You're like, no. So do you want me to make it straight? No, I want it to be wonky because we like the character. But yeah, nothing wrong with a bit of help, I don't think.
And yes, if you want to get into lockpicking, if you listen to this entire episode not understanding what lockpicking is or how to do it, go to your nearest cybersecurity convention. They probably have a lockpicking village. Most of the lockpicking villages are staffed usually by someone from Tool, which is the open organization of lockpickers, I think. The full acronym. But yeah, very good organization, teaches people about lockpicking. And yeah, they'll usually have lockpicks you can use. They'll have locks you can pick. It's a lot of fun.
Safe ones as well.
Yes, you are allowed to pick them.
Yeah, there's some good kits out there as well, like clear padlocks and things like that. You must have used.
Here's the thing. I don't like the clear padlocks because the thing about plastic padlocks is they're always made janky. Like they're a good fit. They're only a good visual aid in terms of like anyone who's picked a clear plastic padlock and then moved on to picking a regular padlock understands like the feel is completely different. Like you just can't. And also, I just think it teaches bad habits because you're looking at what you're doing. Like you can literally see your pick pushing up the pins, and it's like, yeah, that's not how it works. You need to. It's so much a feel and listening exercise, lockpicking. It's not visual. But in terms of learning how a lock operates, I think that's great. Okay. That's perfect. Do not learn to pick, though, using one of those. Learn how a lock opens, how a locking mechanism works. Please don't learn to pick on a clear plastic padlock.
I think you've just said all the things I was biting my tongue to stop saying. It's a great... I also think if you're trying to pick a lock blind and you haven't really learnt about it, that's quite difficult because learning the inner mechanisms of different locks is really helpful. And if you have something clear, just to look at it and go, oh, that's how that works. So that's what it looks like when I jam my pick in here. That's what I'm actually trying to aim for and do. But beyond that point, stop using them. It's good right at the beginning to learn and get your sort of eye into what your overall goal and objective and aim is, I suppose. And it's the reason why people who like invent different picking techniques, you see them like taking angle grinders to the side of picks and to the side of locks and pulling them apart. It's literally reverse engineering a lock, of course. So yeah, useful at the beginning, but yeah, you're totally right about the feel. If you make that jump from just doing, if you've practiced like 1,000 times on a clear lock and you just keep doing it, you go, I'm really good at this. Suddenly go and try and use one that is exactly the same type of model and setup. Try and use it without, and you will just notice the distinct difficulty jump. It goes straight through the roof. Totally different, as you said. Quite rightly so. Well, I've run out of lockpicking stories, mainly because I've not had to use it too much because there's always an easier route in, such as a child going through a window.
Patented technique.
Am I going to stop playing with locks? Absolutely not, because it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's very fun.
It's good. It's a good hobby.
Excellent. Well, thank you for listening. I've been Tib3rius. He's been Andy Swift. This has been Across the Podcast. You can find all of our social media links in the episode description or on acrossthepodcast.net, and we will see you next time.
Hello.
Knew you were going to say that. Excellent.
Tatty bye.